Welcome to the shed. Need a bigger shed. Today you're up the dirty end. There's all wood down this side and wood down that side and the motorbike and whatever. But this is where it's all going to happen today. I'm going to build another rolling table. I say another one, I've only got one so far for the DeWalt table saw, although the motorbike is standing on a rolling table. But I like stuff on wheels so I can move around. Although the main benches are fixed to the floor because they're solid and they can stay there. But this pile of ply, hardwood ply, I chopped up earlier. I just roughed it up. 3 sheets of 1 meter 20, 2 meters 40, that's 8x4 in old money. 18mm, all labelled up, ready to go. And I just chopped that up with a lovely little DeWalt cordless on the floor because I don't have a big panel saw. I just lay strips on the floor and then whack it up rough, and now I'm going to clean it up on trestles with the track saw. And what's it going to be? Well, I'm not going to give that away just yet, but it's quite big, as you can see. But how do I get to that? You have to draw a sketch or draw some plans. I use SketchUp a lot. I think that's a really accessible piece of software for drawing out plans for woodworking and for CNC stuff, in fact, and for 3D printing stuff. I use SketchUp a lot. But I've just found a way of exporting cut lists from that with an extension called Cut List, I think, where you can draw your model, make all your components and then export it as a cutting list for these sheets. So this is what I get out of SketchUp through the extension Open Cut List. That's what it's called. It's a freebie. It works with SketchUp Pro. What you have to do though is, as you're designing your cupboard, whatever it is, you have to save each part as a component. So it's drawn in 3 dimensions, and then you save it as a component with a name, bottom, top rail, whatever. And then you have to define your materials. So I defined 18mm ply, standard size, 2 meters 40 by 1 meters 20. What your trimming size would be. Here I left 10mm, blade thickness 3mm, and you can other parameters like pre-ordering of parts, stack identical parts, bounding box optimization. I haven't tried everything yet. I just did a very basic output, and what I'm building, I needed 3 sheets of ply. It's not, it's good, yeah, it gives you a good layout, but when I used to make furniture, we had another software application, but for the life of me I can't remember what it was. You could prioritize the lengths or the widths of the cuts, the initial cuts. On this diagram, for me, that's not been set up efficiently. If I look, I've got a piece here, G, which sticks out past Q. So I can cut it through here, or I can't cut through there. I could cut it this way, which is probably what it's telling me to do. In fact, I think it is, yeah. So I need to cut it in the length first. But it doesn't, I don't know if that's the most efficient way of doing it. What we used to do, we used to say prioritize each way, and it would do that. Saying that, it's for free, you know, it's very handy. It's given me a rough cut and a finished cut. This is one of the rough cut boards from the cutting list. This is actually 2 components. I measure up the main sheet, the large sheet, with pencil line it, and then hand cut it with the battery circular saw. I don't use a guide rail, I just cut the line. I can cut it pretty accurately. It's not difficult with one of these, they cut very well anyway. And with a bit of practice you can cut very, very straight lines. But it's still not a perfect line. This should be the perfect line. This is the line that came from the mill. So I always give that a mark. That's the edge of the sheet, the main sheet. And I will take my references from there when I cut this to size. For labels, I always use a label. I don't draw on the sheet because when you're dealing with a lot of components you quickly lose that. This is much more difficult to lose. and I use this low-tack painter's tape, which is very good, rather than this old-fashioned typical masking tape, because this can leave residue and can peel off in bits, you know, and be a bit messy. So I don't bother with that. That's the one. Of course, I've got 4 of these. Of course, everybody knows what that is. There's a 130mm, 100 kilo swivel and brake caster. I do love a good swivelly, brakey caster. So they're going to be under this unit, 4 of those. Bolted on, 8mm bolts. So I just bang those heads through my sheet and then put a nut on the bottom. So now I'm going to cut this up according to my main cut list. It'll be a combination of using the circular saw on my homemade crosscut sled, my table saw, which is only a small DeWalt saw, and the track saw, which is nice and accurate for cutting up sheet material. So that's going to be it. Here it is, all the pieces cut according to my list. All. It's not including the drawers or the fronts yet. This is just the rolling box, 18mm, all cut to size. Construction method, how am I going to do that? Well, it's going to upset some people, but I do not do pocket screws. I really do not like them. Horrible, horrible things. Anyway, I've got choices. I've got lamellos, biscuits and glue, or screws and glue, lamellos, brads and glue, lamello screws and glue, screws, brads and glue. There's plenty of options out there. So I'm going to crack on with this, but it won't be with pocket screws. Right, that's the main, oh wait, hang on. There we go, almost done. It's the best part of 2.5 sheets of 18mm, 3/4 inch thick hardwood ply. So it's starting to weigh a bit, as you can imagine. So rolling it around is getting a bit awkward. But while it's on its roof, I just put the bottom on, and I can put the casters on. 8mm bolts, secure those down. 100 kilo capacity, 130mm high, which gives me my workbench height of 910mm. I don't know what that is in imperial, sorry. I also put a divider in that way. That's all screwed in, and I'm going to put dividers in this way for drawers and doors, or doors and doors and drawers, or drawers and drawers, don't know yet. Construction, no pocket screws, no biscuits, no fancy stuff. It's glue, brads and screws, old-fashioned technique, simple. It's got to be put together quickly, efficiently and cheaply. It's a utility object. It's from the shed. I'm not fussed about the fancy joining methods. So, wheels on, flip it over, top deck on, clean up, and we'll take it from there. Clearly we're almost there. It's back on its feet, or wheels. I've put in another divider here, 60 between for drawers. Why 60? Just because, yeah, just because. That'll be a cupboard. Same on the other side. That's 500 deep this side, and that's the rest. 60 again, another cupboard. I could put 2 doors on here, I could put small drawers there. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that yet. Look at that, lovely. Anyway, the top, I've used 80mm ply sections here to make a box. And why is that? Because of rigidity. I could have just used a single sheet of ply, but then the problem is at the front here, it's going to start to bow. It's going to have quite a lot of weight on it. So I don't want to take any risks. I want it stable. I've also decided the top, which is just one sheet of ply, is going to be screwed on, no glues. And that is because I can then route cables through here if I need to. So they're not in the space of my cupboard or drawers. Any cables for what's going on here can run in between these dividers and down into a box. I'm pretty much giving away what's coming on here, I think. I think everybody's guessed what's coming on top of this. But it's not here yet. So that's the option I'm going to do. And what I've done on all of these joints, I've got a flush joint, which will be sanded nice and cleaned up. But here, it's not going to be glued and sanded, so I'm just going to put a slight rebate on the top, so it's a definite edge. That's what we used to do when we were doing furniture. And we're joining 2 bits of board. We'd put like a 2mm rebate on it, so you've got a definite edge, so it doesn't matter if it doesn't line up 100%. So that's where I am. It's going to be screwed on. Screws visible, as I said, no issue. I'm going to be quite happy with that so far. Be even more happy when it's done, let's put it that way. Okay, I think that will be strong enough. And yes, I think there's enough storage space. And yes, same level as the bench. So there we go. It's done. My rolling box storage unit worktop thing. The top's screwed on, no glue. I didn't bother rebating it after all. I did a test piece on this ply and it splinters a bit too much. It wasn't very nice. So I just put it down, broke the edges, sanded the box up. I've still got to do the interior, but there's a thing that's got to come in there, and depending on how big it is, will depend on where it goes, and then I'll make drawers and doors to go with it. But whatever's coming on top here, you all know what it is by now. It's on its way. So I needed this done pronto, because when it comes in the shed, it's going on there, and I hope it's not going to be moved from there because it's heavy and I can't move it on my own. I'm quite pleased. It's 2.5 sheets of hardwood ply, a good squirt of glue and a big handful of screws and 4 casters. I can move it next to the bench over here, and then I have to make another rolling bench for the table saw, but that's on the list of jobs, but that was priority. So I'm quite happy, but there's one learning thing that I come away with from this project. I need a bigger shed.